Please, my pills there in my purse. That's what Gloria Baines whispered as Officer Dorsey pulled her from the car, her son Caleb shouting from the back seat. Cuffed and helpless, he clutched her chest. The bottle of heart med cinches. Away, ignored, like her voice. By morning, she was dead. No meds, no help, no justice. Until Caleb disappeared, Gloria Baines was almost home when the flashing red and blue filled her rearview mirror. The rain tapped steady against her windshield. As she pulled over on the side of the quiet road outside Valdosta, Georgia, her son Caleb sat in the back seat, his headphones around his neck, his eyes wide with confusion. It was late, just past 11. Gloria driving home after a double shift at the assisted living center. Still in her scrubs, her badge clipped to her collar, the officer approached slowly, flashlight already drawn, tapping the window. Gloria rolled it down, her voice calm but shaky. He said she'd been swerving. She said she was tired. She added that she had chest pain, had a heart condition, and her pills were in her purse under the passenger seat. She motioned toward it gently, not making any sudden moves. But the officer's expression changed. Her words didn't register. His tone sharpened. He asked if she'd been drinking. She said no. He asked again. Her breath hitched. Her left hand clutched her chest. Another officer pulled up behind them, lights washing over the wet street. This one circled to the passenger side and opened the door without a word. Gloria tried to explain again, her voice thinner now. My heart, pills, nitro in the purse. But she was pulled from the car, arms behind her back, chest tightening. With every second, her purse fell open on the floorboard, the bottle of pills rolling into the shadows near the pedals. Neither officer looked down. Inside the car, Caleb was yelling now, screaming for them to help her, to listen, but he was yanked out, slammed against the trunk, handcuffed, his mother gasping as she dropped to her knees in the rain. Her lips moved, her voice almost gone. EMS wasn't called until after she stopped moving. By the time the ambulance arrived, her body was still, her clothes soaked, her pulse gone. The bottle of pills sat untouched under the seat, a few feet from the hand that never got to reach for it, the official report said. Gloria Baines had a medical emergency during a routine stop. It noted that she appeared disoriented and unresponsive before collapsing. The officers who were on the scene claimed she never mentioned chest pain, never asked for medicine, never gave any indication that she was in distress. The word non-compliant showed up more than once. Her purse wasn't mentioned. Neither were the pills. The body cam footage that could have shown otherwise was listed as corrupted, a firmware error during transfer. Internal systems logged it as unrecoverable, no backup, no review. A note was added stating the malfunction had been reported before, but the repair request was still in queue. Dispatch logs showed that EMS wasn't called until nearly 12 minutes after the officers made contact. By then, Gloria was already unresponsive on the pavement, her clothes soaked with rain, her son screaming into the void as they told him to shut up and sit still. The autopsy was quick, conducted by a contracted examiner with a backlog of cases. The report was clean, no signs of trauma, no red flags. Cause of death, cardiac arrest, due to underlying coronary artery disease. A line was included noting possible stimulant exposure, but the toxicology report was never attached. It disappeared before it was filed. When questioned, the lab said it had been misplaced, probably during routine system updates. There was no mention of the nitroglycerin bottle found in the car. No one acknowledged the fact that her medication was there the whole time, or that a single pill might have bought her the minutes she needed to live. At the precinct, Caleb Baines was processed without charges, released by morning with a bruised wrist and no explanation. He walked out without speaking, his clothes still damp, his shoes muddy from the roadside ditch where he'd been forced to kneel. He didn't cry, he didn't scream, he didn't call anyone to pick him up, he just vanished. People assumed he went home, that he was grieving with family, maybe staying quiet for legal reasons. But Caleb never went home. His phone went dark, his social accounts locked down. Security footage showed him walking into a bus depot 3 towns over. From there, nothing. But someone knew where he was. His cousin, Nate, former signal analyst from the 101st, taught him what he needed: how to disappear without a trace, how to mask cell tower pings, how to leave no digital footprints, how to move like vapor in a world that tracks everything. Nate didn't ask questions. He just opened the locked garage behind his house, handed Caleb a beat-up laptop, and said, "If you're gonna do this, do it clean." Caleb nodded once. That was the last time anyone in his family saw him. From then on, he existed only in glimpses, in alley cameras, on blurry footage, near government buildings, on lists that were scrubbed as soon as they appeared. The boy who watched his mother die had become something else, something that the system couldn't trace, something it couldn't stop. It was just after 2 a.m. when Officer Dorsey's patrol car was found idling behind an abandoned shopping plaza on the south side of town. The headlights were on, cutting through the early morning fog, the engine still running low and steady like it was waiting for someone to come back. But no one did. A man walking his dog noticed the car, saw it hadn't moved in a while, the condensation thick on the windows. He knocked on the glass, expecting the officer to stir. He didn't. The man stepped back and called it in. Responding units arrived minutes later. They broke the window, expecting a medical emergency, maybe a stroke behind the wheel. But Dorsey wasn't sick. He was gone, slumped forward against the steering wheel, his throat crushed with such precision that it left no sign of struggle, no bruising, no panic. It was clean, quiet, intentional, like someone had waited, slipped in, and made sure it was over before he could lift a hand. There were no fingerprints, no shoe prints in the mud, no shell casings, no broken glass or signs of forced entry, just the eerie stillness of a man taken out mid-shift, his radio still crackling softly. On the dashboard, directly in front of him, was a small, clear plastic vial, unopened, clean, inside, a single bottle of nitroglycerin tablets, just like the one Gloria Baines had tried to reach the night she died. No note, no signature, just the medicine he never let her have. The department called it suspicious. The coroner listed it as undetermined trauma. The chief said it might have been an ambush, but those close to the case didn't believe it. Not really, because Dorsey had been the first to ignore her, and now he was the first to go. Captain Lynch was next. It was a Sunday afternoon, the kind of humid Georgia heat that made even the wind feel tired. His wife was out of town visiting her sister. The captain had stayed back, said he needed rest. He poured himself a drink, slipped into the hot tub behind his ranch-style home, set his phone on the table beside him. The neighbors didn't hear anything, no shouting, no crash, no alarms, just the soft hum of water jets and the distant bark of a dog 2 houses over. When his body was found hours later, he looked almost peaceful, eyes closed, arms floating gently in the water. But what Ems noticed first wasn't the position, it was the smell of ozone, faint but unmistakable, like burned wires. The power box behind the deck had been tampered with, opened surgically. Someone had pulled the emergency defibrillator from the EMS van across town. Just 2 days earlier had never been recovered. The wires were found trailing under the water, connected to the base of the hot tub, taped into place with waterproof seals. Lynch had been electrocuted mid-soak, his body spasming just once before slipping into stillness. No broken skin, no scream, just a jolt and silence. On the wooden deck beside the tub, in condensation and sweat, was a shape burned faintly into the grain. 2 wires curled into the rough outline of a broken heart. The press called it a tragic accident. Faulty wiring, a freak surge in the grid. Internal Affairs wasn't so sure, neither was anyone else. They knew Gloria's heart gave out that night. Now, theirs were being taken one by one. That started with a sound, not a headline, not a video, not a protest, just a sound file that appeared on a burner blog first. One of those forgotten corners of the internet where whistleblowers drop ghosts. The file had no title, no context, just a 2-minute MP3 uploaded with the caption, "What they didn't want you to hear." At first, no one knew what it was. Then someone listened. Then someone wept. In the background, static, distant sirens, rain tapping metal. Then came the voice, "She's not breathing. Please, my mom, she's not breathing." Young, raw, desperate, a boy, choking on panic. Then came another voice, flat, dismissive, "She's fine, sit back." And another, chuckling, "Somebody give the Oscar to this kid." A chair scraped, a boot stepped. The sound of a woman gasping, "The pills, please, my purse, my purse." Then silence, not the kind of silence where the world pauses, the kind where the world fails by the next morning. The file had made its way to Twitter, then TikTok, then headlines. Every scroll fed the same sick burn in the chest. Caleb's voice, over and over, "She's not breathing, please, help her." And their voices, the ones in uniform, laughing. It was no longer a theory, no longer speculation. The cops hadn't just failed Gloria Baines, they'd mocked her death. The outrage didn't start in speeches or city halls, it started in rhythm. By 10 a.m. students were walking out of Valdosta High, chanting in the gym, on the lawn, through the halls. "She had the pills. You had the power. Now feel the hour." By noon, healthcare workers walked out of Southside General, holding signs in their scrubs. the word heart drawn over their chests in red ink. By evening, crowds swelled downtown. Barbers. Teachers, bus drivers, clerks. Old men in lawn chairs, mothers, with toddlers asleep on their shoulders. The chant echoed louder, bouncing off storefronts and courtrooms. She had the pills. You had the power. Now feel the hour. Over and over. She had the pills. You had the power. Now feel the hour. It rang through the bones of the city, a pulse the system couldn't stop. They brought candles, roses, diabetic syringes, empty pill bottles. They lined them along the courthouse steps like tombstones. One little girl, no older than 7, stood holding a cardboard sign that said, "My mum has pills too. Please let her live." A local radio DJ played the audio file back to back with Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On?" Twitter exploded with threads detailing police negligence, racism, and every silent death tied to ignored medical cries behind bars. The city couldn't contain it. The chief of police gave a press conference that night, sweat on his brow, words rehearsed, saying all the right things. "We're launching an internal inquiry. The community deserves answers. We feel your pain." But behind him, over his left shoulder, painted in fresh blood red on the side of the courthouse wall, was something he hadn't seen yet. They say it was painted in one night. No one saw it happen, no artist caught, no permit pulled, no ladder left behind. But by sunrise, it was there. 4 stories tall. Gloria Baines, reborn in brushstrokes and firelight, not gasping, not dying, not begging, but glowing. Her face looked out over the city, eyes strong, jaw set. Her nurse scrubs faded into the shape of angelic wings rising from her shoulders, her afro haloed in gold paint, her hand not clutching her chest but pointing outward to the people standing below her. She wasn't a victim on that wall, she was a reckoning, and below her image, spray painted in blood red block letters, she had a heart. So do you. The city stopped. Traffic slowed, phones came out, reporters arrived. But for the people standing there, the mural wasn't for the cameras. It was a shrine, a reckoning, a resurrection. Candles lined the sidewalk below. Dozens at first, then hundreds. Then a sea of flickering fire that painted the night in sorrow and resolve. Some placed their own heart meds at the base, others left drawings, poems, medical ID bracelets. A local pastor left his own stethoscope. He said it had saved lives. It should have saved hers. Children knelt and colored on the pavement. Pictures of mothers and angels and protest signs. A former inmate came forward in tears. He said he was in the next holding cell that night. Said he heard Gloria gasping. Said he yelled for help. Said they told him to shut up or lose yard time. His voice cracked on the news. They let her die like she was nothing. But she was someone. You see her now. That's who she was. By the third night, the mural had gone viral. National news anchors whispered over drone footage of the crowd gathered in silence, holding hands under her face. At midnight, a choir sang from the steps of City Hall. No sheet music, no rehearsal. Just voices, raw, broken, holy, and they sang, "She had a heart. So do you. What you did. We see it too. The city didn't sleep that night. The mayor didn't show up to work the next day, and in homes all across Georgia, families told their children the truth that the law doesn't always protect you, that sometimes it lets mothers die. But now, it was being watched. Because somewhere out there, Caleb was still moving, still choosing his next moment, still remembering the laughter they let echo in the dark. And the people weren't afraid anymore. They weren't just chanting his name, were chanting for her. She had the pills, you had the power. Now feel the hour. The city was no longer sleeping. And justice no longer knocked at it, walked. Detective Ellis Newman, always parked in the same spot at the end of the alley behind the old station. It was a leftover habit from his rookie years where nobody boxed him in, where the cold kept his windshield clear, and where no one walked behind his car. He'd been quiet since the leak, shaved his beard, stopped going to the bar after shift, spoke only when asked, smoked more, smiled less. The others had noticed he was watching shadows, jumping at elevators, double-checking locks. He was there the night Gloria died. He wasn't on the scene, but he was in the chains. A one who pushed the paperwork, cleaned up the dispatch logs, redirected the complaint filed by the nurse at Southside, who noticed the missing meds. He didn't kill her, he just helped erase her. And on a Thursday night in early fall, the ghost came for him. His car was found the next morning, engine off, windows fogged, parked neat like always, but inside, something was off. The driver's seat was pushed back. The emergency brake was still on. and the dome light had been removed entirely and screwed, as if someone wanted the dark to stay dark. Newman sat in the front seat, shirt damp with sweat, face pale, mouth open, his hands frozen around the steering wheel, stiff as stone, his eyes locked wide like he'd seen something too late that the coroner found no trauma, no signs of struggle, no wounds, no bruises, no forced overdose, but in the back of his throat, lodged like a final truth, was a full bottle of nitroglycerin pills, still sealed, still labeled, Gloria Baines. It hadn't been shelved, it had been swallowed, deliberately like a sentence accepted. No note, just a single fingerprint wiped in clear. Oil across the passenger window, heart-shaped, downward dot. It was never lifted dot. When the press got wind of the story, the department issued a statement. No known threats, possibly suicide. But those who knew what Newman helped bury knew better, because silence doesn't just haunt, sometimes it kills. Across town, the walls were closing in faster. The chief of police, Walter Griggs, submitted retirement paperwork overnight. No press conference, no ceremony, no folded flag or honorary speech in the atrium, just a man who stopped showing up. The voicemail that leaked 3 days later wasn't supposed to exist. It came from a department line, one used only for high-clearance internal calls. It had been buried in a cache of digital forensics tied to another investigation, but someone found it, someone leaked it, and in a shaky voice, the chief confessed to no one in particular, "We let her die. That boy ain't crazy." His exact click, that was it. 9 words. But they didn't just float through the city. They pierced it. Talk shows played it on repeat. Podcasts broke it down syllable by syllable. News anchors couldn't speak after the second line. Police officers left their badges on desks. Some tried to deny it, others couldn't, because the thing about a storm is, it only takes one bolt to split everything wide open. Scene 9, the Greyhound. The Greyhound station near the city's edge had no cameras inside, just one outside above the fuel line, and it had been blinking red for 3 weeks straight. Nobody noticed the man in the hooded jacket who walked in just past midnight, hands in his pockets, no luggage. His sneakers were dusty, his jeans torn, near the knee, his posture tired but light like someone carrying nothing except the space where a wound used to be. He paid cash. One-way. No, named at the destination, unclear, somewhere west. The attendant asked if he wanted change. He shook his head, just nodded toward the platform. He didn't look up when the bus pulled in, didn't speak when the door opened, didn't glance back when he stepped on board. He just sat in the back row. He'd pulled low earbuds in, but his phone wasn't playing. Music. It was off. Dead. Because this wasn't an escape, it was an ending, and Caleb Baines knew how to disappear the same morning. A manila envelope arrived at a small apartment in the heart of the city. It had no return address, no markings, just a name written in careful black ink. Jonah Baines, Gloria's youngest son, 14 years old, a quiet kid. The one who stayed with Grandma after Gloria died. The one no one remembered, much. Except Caleb. Inside the envelope were 4 things. A thumb drive, a stack of printed documents, a folded photos of Gloria smiling in her scrubs, a note, written in clean block lettering the thumb drive held, archived dispatch logs showing IMS was delayed by officer override, scanned, redacted internal memos about body cam corruption audio, files of Caleb's original 911 call, but unedited, one final file, a goodbye. This is what they hid, this is what they denied, this is why she's gone. The papers were personnel file, shift reports, internal affairs, complaint sealed, affidavit, off custody records altered 3 days after Gloria's death. It was a map. Every person who had touched the cover, up. Every lie. Every delay, every file, buried, and at the bottom of the stack was a letter, handwritten. Jonah, I didn't want to be this. I wanted to stay your brother, just your brother, not some ghost in a story people whisper about. But when I saw what they did to Mum, how they let her go without care, without breath, without dignity, I knew I couldn't let that be the end of her name. I didn't set out to be a monster, but they made me one, not with one moment, but with every moment after, when they laughed, when they lied, when they signed her death into silence. This isn't justice. Not really, but it's all the truth I could gather. Keep it safe, or don't. You get to choose what comes next. Tell her story, or close the box. No. They'll remember her now. Not the way they wanted, but the way she deserved. See ***. Jonah. Read the letter 3 times. Then once more, with tears he didn't wipe away. That night he opened a new document on his laptop. He titled it, She Had a Heart, the Gloria Baines Case Files. He didn't know yet whether he'd publish it, didn't know if the city would listen, didn't even know if Caleb was alive, but he knew this: Caleb had left behind truth, and sometimes truth is the loudest weapon. At the edge of the state line, the Greyhound bus turned west. The sky ahead was still dark, but a soft orange bled at the horizon. The road stretched long and narrow, vanishing into the kind of quiet only freedom understands. Inside, Caleb Baines closed his eyes, not in peace, but in relief. He hadn't brought justice, he'd brought balance, and the system that ignored his mother's final breath now slept with one eye open, knowing someone out there still remembered how it happened, still remembered who let it happen, and still might come back. He didn't leave a name, he didn't leave a trace, only the fear left behind in a system that now knew Newman was still out there, moving, watching, and never forgetting what they did to her. The mural still stands, weathered. Now rain has faded some of the colors, and the Georgia sun has bleached the corners. But Gloria Baines' face remains steady, strong, unbroken. Her eyes still look out over the street like she's watching everyone who walks by, like she's daring the world to forget what was done to her. But they don't forget, not anymore. Every year, on the anniversary of her death, the people return, come with folding chairs and blankets, thermoses of sweet tea and plates of fried chicken wrapped in foil. They bring their children, their elders, their memories. They come not just to mourn but to remember, to remind, to resist the silence that once buried her. The street is closed off now, not by police, but by the people. There's a table with candles, each one bearing a name, not just Gloria's, but others too. Names that had no headlines, no murals, no chants, just mothers and fathers and daughters whose last breath went unnoticed. And in the middle of the crowd, every year, Gloria's grandchildren step forward. They're older now, teens with their mother's smile and their grandmother's fire. One by one, they light candles at the base of the mural. The youngest always places hers in the same spot, beneath the painted pocket of Gloria's scrubs, where the bottle of pills once should have been. This year, the youngest asks, "Do you think he's out there?" No one says who he is. They all know, and even though no one has seen Caleb Baines in nearly a decade, even though no photo has surfaced, no message sent, no new name linked to him, they know. Because every time a name disappears quietly from the department roster, a resignation, a reassignment, a death with no clear cause, someone finds a small plastic bottle at the precinct door. Sometimes it's taped to the glass, sometimes it's left on the hood of a cruiser. Once it was placed gently on the captain's desk during lunch. No one saw who put it there. Each bottle is the same: empty, clean, labeled Gloria Baines. It's never a threat. It's a reminder, a pulse of memory, slipped beneath the heartbeat of bureaucracy. No cameras ever catch the delivery. No fingerprints, no footprints, just presence, just truth, just the silent echo of a promise kept. As the sun sets behind the mural, the candles flicker in soft waves. The crowd grows quiet. A choir begins humming, not words, just sound. The kind that fills the cracks where grief used to live. The kind that says, "We're still here." On the far side of the street, tucked in the shadow of a closed barber shop, a man stands just long enough to watch the candles be lit. His hood is pulled low. He doesn't stay. He never does. He turns before anyone notices, walks away with hands in his pockets. Just another face in the dark, one the world forgot, but whose memory the city now carries in its bones. And as he disappears down the block, a soft breeze rolls in, brushing over the mural, the children, the flames, a whisper without a voice, a promise without a name. They never found the man who made them remember her, but every year he reminds them anyway. One pill bottle at a time.